welcome back to the channel. I'm Michelle.
And I'm Ken, and today we're here to kick off our 13 Days of Horror series for the month of September and October. We got an early start. And we're here to talk about Joyride from 2001, starring Paul Walker, Steve Zahn, and Leelee Sobieski. I think is how you pronounce it. Leelee. Okay. I think it's Leelee. Leelee Sobieski or something.
Works for me.
But yeah, we're going to talk about this movie. Really a time capsule movie for me because I hadn't seen it in such a long time. As soon as we started watching it, just transported me back to when I was like 17 watching this movie. Before we get into it, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. We talk about movies and TV. We do fun entertainment live streams every single Monday. So if you like that kind of thing, hit the subscribe button and also
like the video.
Like the video like she said, and leave us a comment. You know, this is a 22-year-old movie.
Crazy.
Man, we are old. 22-year-old movie. If you've seen it, let us know in the comment section below. Let us know your thoughts on it. Joyride. What did you think about this one?
Yeah, so as you mentioned, this was our first movie of the 13 Days of Horror. And yeah, Joyride was one that, well, actually, I don't think I've seen any movie on our list, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Yeah, so I have never seen Joyride before. Obviously, like you said, I feel like it's a pretty classic movie. I've always heard a ton of people talk about it.
Yeah, I am surprised you've never seen it because you're such a Paul Walker fan. You know,
yeah,
when I first met you had a big poster of him on your wall.
You're not lying. Yeah, I definitely was a Paul Walker girl, but I was like a Paul Walker girl from Fast and the Furious.
Yeah.
So I feel like I've probably seen pieces of this movie, maybe if it was on TV or something. I just don't remember having seen it from start to finish.
Did you know the iconic candy cane line?
No, I did not, because you kept saying that, and I'm like, I'm sure it's all going to make sense to me once I see it. But yeah, so Joyride, I was kind of okay, whatever, to see it. I wasn't overly excited, honestly.
Yeah.
But I would say it was pretty much what I was anticipating. I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. I thought that it was pretty okay. I don't know. It wasn't as good as I felt like people let on it to be.
It's very nostalgia based for sure. I mean, it's very 2000s, very early 2000s. I feel like that time period is starting to develop some nostalgia, kind of like the 80s and the 90s. We're starting to get a little bit nostalgic for that early 2000s period.
Yeah.
And you go back and watch movies like Joyride, and it does feel very dated, very of its time. But I think there's a certain level of charm for this movie for sure. I still think it's pretty good, pretty decent. I'd say action thriller with a little bit of horror. It kind of mixes all those things together in one, and I still find it pretty interesting and engaging and thrilling for the most part.
I kind of kept wondering before we watched it how it made our 13 Days of Horror list.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking it was going to be more thriller, but it definitely does have some horror elements sprinkled in there for sure.
There's horrific imagery. I mean, the guy with the jaw missing. I mean, it's pretty horror.
Yeah, and just spoiler alert: the truck driver or whatever that they're dealing with is kind of a psycho, and so he does some horrorish things, and so comparable to I Know What You Did Last Summer, or I don't know, even Scream or. I mean, maybe not as extreme, but...
Yeah, I mean, it was of that time period. I mean, all these movies were kind of riffing off of Scream, it felt like, at this time. So,
yeah.
Another interesting thing about this movie is that it was written partially by J.J. Abrams.
Yeah, I noticed that in the opening credits.
Yeah, so this must have been where he kind of got his start, because I think this was before Lost and everything else that he would go on to do, Star Wars and Super 8 and all that kind of stuff. So I thought that was interesting because I never knew that, and we saw J.J. Abrams in the title card and stuff before we started. It wasn't directed by J.J. Abrams. It was actually directed by John Dale. So I hadn't really, I don't know if I've seen anything from this director, but I think he did a pretty good job. I think it's a well-directed and put-together edited movie for sure. So yeah, with some tense, thrilling sequences sprinkled throughout.
Yeah, it was kind of funny, the plot is kind of the two brothers get wrapped up into this kind of what starts as a prank type of thing.
Yep.
And so I thought it was kind of funny to see Paul Walker's character trying to act like a girl.
I kind of forgot all about that, to be honest.
Yeah, you kept thinking that the girl was with them.
I thought I remember the girl being with them more.
Right.
Than she was.
Right.
So I thought that, yeah, she was Candy Cane, but no, Paul Walker was acting like Candy Cane. So.
Right. Which she does end up, getting involved in all of their drama.
Yeah.
Towards the end. But yeah, that was pretty funny. I mean, we know that Paul Walker has done kind of comedic stuff before, right? He was in Varsity Blues, right?
He was in Varsity Blues. He was also in She's All That. So he had done the teen comedy, stuff before. So yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know.
But definitely, his brother, played by Steve Zahn, was a big comedy guy at this time. He was in Saving Silverman and some other movies that I'm forgetting about. But he was in a lot of comedies around this time. So.
Right, which when I saw him, I was a little taken aback because I'm like, isn't he kind of more of a comedy person? So I was kind of like, I don't know how I'm feeling about him being a more serious, which he does his character kind of is like this. I don't know, kind of like a troublemaker.
He's a troublemaker, yeah.
Yeah, so there are, you can kind of see his, actual personality coming out a little bit with some more comedic stuff.
I do think it's funny how they're trying to portray Paul Walker in this movie as this almost, dorky guy who's never been able to get the girl before kind of character. I don't know if you picked up on that, but it's this is Paul Walker. It wouldn't be hard for him to get a girlfriend. Or get a girl like Leelee Sobieski.
Yeah.
But they're trying to portray him as the guy that's been in the friend zone for a long time with this girl.
Yeah.
And I find it hard to buy into something like that.
So basically, you have the hots for Paul Walker.
Basically, yeah. In a nutshell.
Yeah.
But I think that him and Steve Zahn actually have really good chemistry together in this movie.
Yeah.
And I think that they definitely lead the film well. I don't really buy them as brothers, but. Other than that, I think that they have good comedic chemistry together, and when stuff starts to get real, I think they play off each other very, very well.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I did kind of see them as more as friends or something, but
yeah, maybe they could have rewrote it, and that could have been his best friend or something. I don't know.
Not that it really makes
doesn't matter too much.
No, it doesn't. Yeah. But yeah, overall, like I said, I thought that it was pretty okay. I don't know if it's one that I would revisit. Time and time again, but
like I said, it's one of those movies that you definitely, I feel hype up in your head because you remember watching it 20 years ago when you were a kid.
Yeah.
Then you go back and rewatch it now, and it's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with this movie. It's a nice, enjoyable Sunday afternoon thriller, which is when we watched it on. Ted Levine as the voice of the truck driver. It's not the same person that's playing the truck driver, but he plays the voice, and I think it's pretty iconic. I think that voice, that trucker voice is very iconic, and people remember this movie for that voice.
Yeah.
Rusty Nail, Candy Cane, that gets quoted a lot. I've heard a lot of people throughout my life remember this movie just for that voice and that line.
Yeah, and I mean, he had some creep factor to him over the radio. So.
Yeah, I think that, yeah.
And also, they do have a nice little kind of twist at the end where you're kind of oh, okay.
Yeah, and there was a Joyride 2, and there was also a Joyride 3.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen either one of the sequels.
Gotcha.
I think that the second one, I don't even know if it has a physical release. I have the third one on Blu-ray. But I don't know if the second one has a physical release at all. So.
Gotcha. But yeah, just getting into my rating of it, I'm going to give it a 3.5 out of 5.
Okay, that's a solid score. You know what? I would probably give it the same. Okay. It's a 3.5 out of 5 for me.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I don't know if I necessarily think this was the kickoff I wanted for our 13 Days of Horror.
But it's the kickoff we needed.
But
I feel to get us
it's the one we
into
got, so.
But yeah, it's a movie I remember watching all the time for some reason. I probably rewatch this movie once a week.
You're a little weirdo.
I don't know why. But I probably have my fill now of Joyride. I don't feel like I need to watch it again anytime soon. But thank you all for watching our review of Joyride. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. And stay tuned for all of our future 13 Days of Horror reviews. I know we got The Thing coming up soon, so definitely look out for that. And we'll see you next time.
Bye.